Hey, how's it going? Matilda B here, and today we're asking the question: are your systems working for you? Are they helping you? Right? Are they good systems? Are they getting you where you want to go? Are they helping you ease your day? Or are they giving you frustration? Right? And we're particularly going to focus on things that you can use to assess if your systems are working for you, right? So just think about the systems that you have in your day, the habits that you have in your day, the flow of your day, the things that are filling your day. Think about all those things, right? The laundry, the cooking, the cleaning, the um, even when it comes to your business, the way that you're doing your social media, the way that you're attracting your audience, the way that you're doing your marketing, all of those things, just start thinking about the things you're doing and ask yourself, is this serving me? Is this getting me where I want to go? Right? Overwhelm is not only not knowing, it's not only having too much to do, it's also not knowing where to start, right? If you feel like your routines are leaving you frustrated, then they have to go, right? So that's the first thing, right? If you feel like your routines are frustrating you, if you feel frustrated, think about as you're going through your day, what are the things that just drive you crazy? What are the things that make you think, oh, I wish I didn't have to do this, right? What are those things? Because if you're feeling frustrated, right? If you're feeling frustrated, if you're feeling that angst every time that thing has to happen, then it's not serving you anymore. Okay. I'll give you an example. When we moved, right? We moved. And so when we moved, it was no longer, laundry does not happen on the same day that it did because of the structure of our day when we got here and then we set up our school systems and all of that. Then the morning that we had set up to do laundry no longer works because we're not there, like we're not home that day, right? So laundry's on a Tuesday, no longer on a Thursday because we're home on Tuesday, we're not home on Thursday. So that means that we can't switch the laundry, right? So you're gonna do your laundry, leave it in there, and by the time you come back, you've forgotten about it. So laundry had to be switched, right? Now, if I had kept doing laundry on Thursday, then that was what would happen, right? You walk in, you do the laundry, you wake up on Thursday morning, and you're like, okay, laundry's on Thursday. You wake up Thursday morning, you do the laundry, and then we leave, and then we forget to put the laundry to switch the laundry to the dryer, and then next thing it's bedtime, and the clothes are wet, and then they get stinky. And I've done that before, so I'm talking from experience. We have done that, right? So if your system is starting to frustrate you, right? Because you get to the end of the day and you're like, oh, I forgot to change the laundry, then you need to change it, right? Now the other one is if you are now avoiding that routine, right? So maybe life has changed again, and or maybe now you have a baby, or you've started working, or you have a new project or some new commitments, and then suddenly it's like you just don't want to do this anymore, right? And so every time that comes up, you're like, ugh, I don't want to do this, right? Then it's got to go, right? It doesn't mean that the actual activity has to go. So, for example, if you find that you just never get to cleaning the bathrooms, then that means the system that you've set up for cleaning bathrooms is not working. So, it's not the cleaning bathrooms that needs to go, it's the system that you've set up. Does that make sense? Maybe you have your bathroom set up for Thursdays, but um, you don't have time for them on Thursdays, right? So maybe you miscalculated how much time it takes you to clean the bathroom, which is why you never have time for it. Maybe you've slotted that cleaning the bathroom in a space where you don't have time for it, and then you just avoid it. Or maybe you're setting up that system at a time when you're tired, right? So maybe you're leaving cleaning the bathroom to the end of the day, and at the end of the day, you are so exhausted and you just can't do it, right? There was a time when I couldn't do the evening routine in the evening. And by evening routine, I mean cooking dinner, serving dinner, helping the kids get ready for bed, and then having my own nighttime routine. I couldn't do all those things in the evening. So I had to start moving things around, right? Because what would happen is I knew, or rather, no, I didn't know. I realized because of the frustration that I would not do the dishes in the evening. And that was driving me crazy. That was driving us both crazy, right? But the dishes wouldn't be done in the evening. And then as I started backtracking, I realized that I couldn't do the dishes in the evening because I was exhausted. Duh. Who knew, right? But the reason I was exhausted was because I was not in my best health, right? And so I could not cook dinner, serve dinner, get the kids ready for bed, and do the dishes, right? And at that point, my husband didn't come home until like 9 or 10 p.m. Like he didn't get off work until 9 or 10 p.m. So that wasn't like something I could hand over to him and say, hey, you help the kids get ready to bed. He wasn't there. I couldn't ask him to cook dinner. I couldn't ask him to serve dinner. I couldn't ask him to do those things because he wasn't there, right? So that was all on my plate, and I couldn't fit it all in at that time. So what I did at that time was that I actually shifted cooking dinner to the morning, right? In the morning when I was at my best energy and at my strongest, that is when I would cook dinner, right? So I'd get up and do my morning routine and help my kids in the morning, and then I would cook dinner as I'm serving breakfast. That way, I would have time to rest before I had to do the evening cleanup. Does that make sense? So if you find yourself avoiding something and something just keeps piling up and you're just not getting round to it, start asking yourself what's going on. That system needs to change. Does that make sense? Now, here's a quote that I came across. Your systems are perfectly designed to get the results that you're getting. So if you don't like the results that you're getting, your system needs to change because your system is perfect for the results that you're getting. So if you want to change the results, you got to change the system that you're using so that you get the results you want, right? Maybe it's moving things around like I did. Maybe it's delegating, right? Maybe it's sharing the responsibility with someone. Maybe it's finding ways to outsource, delegate, training your kids to do some of these things is actually really good. I like evening cleanup was on me for a long time, but I started training my kids, and now when Pumpkin, who is 4, she's turning 5 pretty soon, but I can share kitchen duties with her, and I know that it's not always perfect, but I'm no longer entirely in charge of kitchen duty by myself. Right? If it's Daisy, she's doing it all by herself. She's good. She's 10 and she can do the whole thing by herself. Snowflake and Pumpkin, we still work together. But even on those days, kitchen duty does not entirely fall on me because I'm training them. Does that make sense? So that's no longer entirely on me because it used to frustrate me, right? So ask yourself these things that are driving you crazy. How can you find ways to change the system? Right? So these are the questions that you ask yourself. Is this routine leaving you feeling frustrated? Is there something that's frustrating in your day? Start there. If you're avoiding something, so if things keep piling up, maybe it's putting the mail away, right? That was another one for me. I just never get around to putting the mail away. Or you just never get around to checking your bank account, right? Those are systems that you need to change, to restructure, right? To find a different way to do it, okay? If you find yourself asking, is there a better way to do this? You know how it is. You're doing something and you're like, there has got to be a better way to do this, right? I find that especially when it's somebody else who's in charge of it, you're like, fix it, right? But sometimes it's the same thing in your day, right? You're going through something and you're like, there's got to be a better way to do this. Like, think about it, right? Don't you ever have those moments where you're just thinking, why am I doing it this way? Is there no other way to do it? And then you go on this whole, what's it called? A rabbit hole of Google, right? And you're just finding how other people are doing it. Because somebody's got to be doing this right. Somebody's got to be doing this easier, right? And I don't know. It's just my brain always works that way. Every time I figure something out, I'm like, how can we make this better? How can we make this faster? How can I take myself out of the equation? That's always another one for me. It's how can I take myself out of this equation? How can this get done without me doing it? Right? I just know that's just how my brain works. I'm always asking, how can this get done without me doing it? Right? So if you find yourself, if you find your brain starting to process that, like, how can this be done better? There has got to be a better way for this to happen. Then maybe you actually do need a new system. And the thing is, there's nothing wrong with looking for new systems, because you could find something better, or you could find something that doesn't work. And if it doesn't work, you already had a system that you could fall back on, right? But then having trying out new systems might actually get you to a space where things are flowing better, and you are actually getting the things you want done, right? So ask yourself let me rephrase that. Ask yourself why things are important to you. Systems aren't a one size fits all, and they're not permanent, right? So if you find that your systems are not serving you at some point, it might be a sign that you have grown, and that's okay, right? Change happens. That's the only constant. The only constant is, words are not coming out. Let's try that again. The only constant is change, right? Change happens and we grow. And so as we grow, sometimes those systems don't suit us anymore and we need new systems, and that's okay. So you want to ask yourself, what is important? Why is it important? When you know the things that are important to you, you can start assessing your systems as they're frustrating you, and you can start creating new ones, right? And so as you're creating those new systems, those are the things you want to have in mind. Why is this important to you, right? And then you want to start where you're most frustrated and then start building out your systems from there, right? So for example, like I said, one of my biggest frustrations was the fact that I didn't have time. I didn't have time for myself. And I didn't understand why I didn't have time for myself. And if I'm going to be very honest, I was actually mad at my husband because I felt like he had all the time in the world. And so what I did was that I first did a time study. I sat down and I looked at my day, and I actually did a time study, and I asked myself, where am I spending that time? And what do you know? I discovered that I was wasting about an hour, probably close to 2-3 hours a week going to check the mail, because we lived out of town and it was about a 30-minute drive to get. It was a 30-minute errand to go and get the mail. But because I had the kids and it was, you'd have to bundle them up, or not even bundle them up. You're either bundling them up or you're just convincing them to get in the car. You know how kids can never find their shoes when you need to get in the car? They could never find their shoes, or something was going on and you had to help them. And so it turned into a whole hour experience to go get the mail and come back. But because I wasn't scheduling that, it would be like every time Amazon would be like, oh, you've got a package, I'd be like, okay, let's get in the car and go check the mail. And so 3 times a week, you're going to check the mail. And that's 3 hours of my day. That's 3 hours of my week gone, right? And so when I sat down and I did the time study, I was like, oh, this is what's going on. And then I had to ask myself, what's important? Picking up an Amazon package the minute it's delivered, or creating space for me to have time to do this? And for me, it was creating the space to do this. But once you sit down and you ask yourself what's important, and you know the things that are important, you can start building your systems around that, right? You can start choosing. You can start saying, no, I value this more than picking up mail. So picking up mail is something that I can delegate, or I can schedule, or something else, but that is not going to happen spontaneously anymore, right? So you start where you're most frustrated, and you start building out your systems from there. You ask yourself why things are important to you, what is important to you, and you start building systems around those things. Think of the long game, right? You're building a foundation, and if you build it right, your house will stand through the storms. Okay? So that's what I had to share with you today. Okay? The questions that you want to ask yourself are, is this routine leaving you frustrated? If you're avoiding the task, and if you are wondering if there's a better way to do it, right? Then you want to assess your systems. And the things that you want to ask yourself as you're building your systems: what is of value to me? Why is it important? Start with what is most frustrating, and think about the long game, right? Think about the fact that remind yourself that this is a foundation, right? And you're building a house that will be able to stand. So that's it from me for today. Oh, before I go, Mark your calendars. October 14, we have a masterclass coming up. It's Run Your Day Like a Boss, right? And I'll be sharing with you the foundational pieces that successful people, high achievers, really productive people, the things that they make sure that they set up in their day so that they set themselves up for success. So mark your calendars, October 14, DM me, LAB, to get your registration, or just drop LAB down here and we'll get that registration out to you. Until next time, have a good one.